Just, hey, what's up? Just basically when it goes out, then it goes out. Oh, I'm gonna grab my water.
I can totally do that.
Yeah, if you need to set a timer on your watch or something. Alrighty, let's do it. Get all the stuff out of my pockets. And we're good. Nope, not that one. This one. This is more so of me keeping track of time on how long to talk about stuff. All right, cool. All right, we ready to rock and roll? Everybody doing good so far? What has anyone done anything fun today?
No, work.
No fun?
No, work.
Work? What do you do?
I'm a histotechnician. I do kidney biopsies.
Oh wow, dang, that's impressive. Oof. What else do we do today?
Bunch of kidneys.
Bunch of kidneys. What else do we do today? Anything else? Nothing fun? No?
Visited my husband in rehab.
Okay.
So it wasn't fun.
Got it. Okay. Another person. Hey, how's it going, guys?
He actually gets his strokes.
I'm just about to start up and everything.
I believe it for restoration.
You do something in time? I know you got your morning routine.
What did I do for fun today? I had Everbowl today. So sweet.
What?
Everbowl? It's a new acai bowl place in Little Rock.
What's that?
It's kind of like a fruit kind of like smoothie bowl, like gourmet bowl
No work.
thing. Oh, I worked. Oh yeah, I was doing work all day. Actually, my last patient, she showed up late, 30 minutes late, and she's like, "Oh, you had that talk tonight too, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And you're kind of showing up when I need to leave. So I'm glad that some people are kind of straggling in because I was booking it over here. So I know there's some familiar faces around here that I know, but there's people who don't know who I am. So my name is Dr. Chris Brown with the Specific Chiropractic Centers, and today kind of going in on prioritizing self and brain health. So before I kind of go in on things, just super quick, what are we looking to get out of this? You can shout it out, you don't need to raise hands. What are
To make my brain better.
brain better? Okay. What else we got?
Better brain.
Better brain, focus, more focus. What else are we thinking?
Brain fog.
We just brain fog stuff? Okay.
Maybe
moving
help
fog.
somebody with a stroke.
Okay. Definitely that kind of stuff. So that's good. That helps me know kind of what people are looking for. Because really, the way that I kind of do my presentations, the way I like to operate this stuff is as more of a conversation interaction, not necessarily a one-way kind of road. That way it's more of a free flow, kind of get the people involved and everything. And also by me hearing that kind of stuff, now I can also kind of cater what I can say, because really we're not going to be getting a whole lot from what the slides are. The slides more so pictures. It's got some bullet points, but the bulk of info is going to be coming from my mouth. So do we have auditory learners in here? No? One, two? Are we more visual?
He's hard to hear me.
Visual, okay, so there's some pictures and stuff. Are we more like kinesthetic? Do we have any touch learners? Okay, cool. All right, so the guy kind of gives me a gist of who to talk to and how to talk to you guys, and so I can definitely vary my language up to accommodate those in the room. With that being said, before I go in, the way that this kind of flow goes is it's going to meander our way up the iceberg, because a lot of us, we really focus on what we see, what the fruits are hanging from people or things. We don't actually really care about the roots, what it took to get there, what it took to kind of develop those things. And honestly, a lot of it can be little tiny health facts, health bombs, but really it's a lot of behavioral things. It's a lot of habits. It's a lot of mindsets. It's a lot of little tweaks more so of that regard. Versus, okay, if I just eat strawberries every day for the rest of my life, I'm going to be good. Sweet. It's different for everybody. And so that's kind of how I came up with this title, The First Step, because I don't know what the first step is going to be for somebody. right? It might be the 6 Ps, it might be the 3-3-3 method, it might be the daily private victory, it could be something health-wise with the 5 kind of pillars of health, I don't know. But for someone, for each individual, probably I'm hoping the goal is that something that I say during the next hour or so will be the kind of that first step for somebody. Like, oh, that's what he was talking about. And I don't know what it is for each individual, but I'm just going to kind of flow through that and kind of just, see what kind of works with that. So how are we here? How did I kind of get here? I already asked you guys why or what we're hoping to get out of this, but we'll also potentially ask yourselves, why are you here? Who are you here for? Is it for yourself? Is it for someone you know? Is it for a family member? Is it for a husband or mom or kid? Yourself? Who knows? Friend, right? Start thinking about, why the heck am I actually here, taking time out of my Tuesday, out of my week, versus being outside at dinner, maybe, or even, ordering up a brownie or something. So I can't ask you guys that question, but I don't ask myself that question. And when I ask myself that question, it's kind of in line with how I go about how I operate now, is that for myself, I think that what I learned in chiropractic school, spent 3 years and over $150,000 worth of knowledge, should be what's accessible to people in elementary, middle, high school, and also in the public. I could think about, okay, what are the benefits and positives and potential good energy exchanges of me sharing that info, but also on the flip side, what are the ramifications if I don't, right? What's on the contrary if I don't share this stuff and just keep it to myself? What are the actual consequences of that? It's funny, so this is two origins, but actually this is not the 2 origins. First origin was actually in quarter 7, where I was actually taking a shower, and I was thinking about all the stuff I was learning. I was like, do humans actually want to know this? What do humans want to know? This was 2021 of fall, and the 2 things that kind of popped in my head was viruses, immune system, because we were kind of during COVID, and also food. We want to know what the heck I'm supposed to eat versus the s'mores Pop-Tart at the gas station like I was doing. And so I started reading again, and I found this book in the bookstore. Basically, this is all the kind of science books I've read in the past year and a half. This is what I've been working with. So I started with rapid virus recovery, which basically went in on the actual ammo our cells use. Media loves to portray it as an antibody thing. If you have artificial or natural antibodies, then you're good. Or if you don't, then you're screwed. Well, no, that's just warriors, but warriors need some kind of weapon to use, right? They need a bullet. What is it? So that's what this book kind of went on. This book, Concepts in Chiropractic and Immunology, a review of supported physiology and studies and how chiropractic techniques may influence the immune system. I found that in the dumpster. And it blew my mind. That book was crazy. Actually, I need to reread that. It's like 150, 200 pages of studies over the past century that show the relation between chiropractic and the immune system. So yeah, if anyone wants to get the immune system debuffed, don't let me get unhinged. I don't know if this is going to be available. The doctor to look up is Dr. Dan Murphy. He's actually probably one of the most prominent figures in our profession right now, worldwide. He's talked, I think, in almost every country in the world. And he's very involved in the school that I went to as well. He's actually one of our teachers. Now I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit about these. Biohack Your Brain, that's a fantastic book. If we're looking for, I know we mentioned brain fog, better health for my brain. This book is fantastic. I'm on my 3rd time reading it. It has chapters such as better brain diet, better brain exercise, better brain supplements, how to drink water for my brain, how to think for my brain. It breaks it down and also has case studies. What she's doing, this neuroscientist, Kristen Wilmeyer, is that she is using all those protocols on former NFL players who had messed up brain scans. And then basically each protocol would actually clear up the actual quality of their brain. And it was pretty tremendous. So I utilized a lot of that stuff and that information in what I provide. In terms of, I have not gone to Outlive yet. That's next on the list. The one I'm really working through is Fast Like a Girl. Now, if we're looking for how to get access to our nervous systems, the best way to do that, actually the only conscious way that we have access to our autonomic nervous system is through what? What do we think? Body.
Meditation.
Meditation. Okay. Yep.
Brain.
Sleep. Brain.
Breathing.
Skin.
Who said breathing? Breathing. Yes. So do we know what our autonomic nervous system is?
You're fixing to remind us.
What?
You're fixing to remind us.
Well, I mean, who doesn't know? When they hear autonomic, they're like, what the heck's that? Right, raise your hand. It's okay.
I think it's touch because you were doing the touch.
Okay.
I think your brain does.
Is it automatic?
So when we hear the word autonomic, think automatic, right? So what makes me feel hungry? What makes me feel thirsty? What makes me tired? What's regulating my hormones? What's dictating my heartbeat? What's dictating my digestion? I don't actually consciously think of that, right? I can't tell my brain, all right, and absorb. Go ahead, do it. You can't do that, right? Yeah. But what's the one access point we have to that stuff? If I'm starting to get anxious, if my heart starts going, what are something I can do consciously to help slow that down, to calm myself down? Really the one access point to our autonomics, the unconscious part of our nervous system, is our breath. And this book blew it up. This book blew my mind. I couldn't put it down. I read it in about 2 days. So that was a really awesome book to read, but Fast Like a Girl is really incredible. There's a lot of benefits with fasting in terms of gut health, in terms of inflammation, autoimmune conditions, chronic fatigue, brain fog, mental well-being, infertility. But the big thing is that women actually need to fast differently than men. Why? Because of hormones. Hormones are cyclical, and so you actually have to cater foods towards which hormones are being expressed and also dormant, depending on what part of cycles you're at. And so the reason why I'm reading that book, a lot of people are like, why the heck are you reading Fast Like a Girl? And I'm like, well, I see a lot of women in my practice, and if that's a potential way to accelerate a healing process, and who am I not to know that? Why would I not want to know that, right? So these are all great science reads that I personally have gone to, and now there are plenty more out there. There's also a lot of people in this room that know stuff that I don't know, which is a good thing, because if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room, right? So one of my goals as I flow through this is that you guys, no one should leave this room without a question unaddressed. I can't say that I can provide all the answers, but there should be no question that goes unaddressed. So as questions pop up, please either write them down or just raise your hand. And then also provide an opportunity afterwards to answer those. Whoop. I want to show these first. In terms of self, these are books that I have personally gotten into. In terms of kind of understanding what we're going for in life, or if people are kind of lost mentally or wherever you're at, these books have been great. And so Connected to Goodness, that's kind of where I started with that about a year ago. The reason why is I just got back into reading and stuff, but I went through burnout pretty hard last winter and beginning of last spring. And this book really provided a lot of insight, a lot of awareness. Actually, one of the most recent parts of that was, it's a section called Momentum. A section called Momentum, and part of it, it was saying that morale dictates performance. So think about that. If I'm not performing well, what's the actual cause? What's the driver for performance? And it's actually morale. It was a graph like this. So morale wasn't on the y-axis. It wasn't the variable. It was the independent, right? And so if my morale was staying high, then performance would also follow it. So if you actually prioritize morale over performance, morale has no choice but to follow. So that was something I just reread. That was great. Crucial Conversation is fantastic. 4 Agreements, that's a wonderful book going in on how the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't make assumptions, don't take anything personally, and always do your best. And if you uphold those 4, then you start to break a lot of the chains that have made you essentially become filtered in through societal interactions or people imposing their own realities onto you. The book that I read Daily Stoic every single morning. I read it pretty much every morning and almost every night. And I'm working through 7 Habits of Highly Effective People at night. So like me asking you guys, what are we looking for, who are we here for, that was one of the habits. In which case that habit was seek to understand, then be understood. Okay, I'm not just trying to impose what it is that I know and hope that you guys are understooding what it is I'm talking about, but I need to actually understand what it is you guys are even looking for. Otherwise, I'm just talking to blank faces the whole time. So those are some really awesome books. But how did I know that I like teaching, right? How did I understand that? And that comes with this. So first thing to write down in your phone or in your notepad is called the 6 Ps. This is kind of going more on the prioritizing self aspect of prioritizing self and brain health. So write down these 6 Ps. Purpose, personal, professional, people, prosperity, and play. These are your categories. And what you do with this is you dream as outlandish as possible. Crazy stuff. Where if you told it to someone on the road, they would think, why, like, just go live a normal life. Like, why do you have to go do all this? And then in your head, you're like, actually, this is realistic for me. Watch me do it. So, for example, where's my phone over here? I'm actually going to read off some of the personal ones. So, like, for example, for personal, for this year, I wanted to be able to, I wanted to get into, like, breathing, understanding that stuff, and doing it consistently. And then I also want to get into fasting. I also wanted to be pretty consistent with eating, diet, exercise, that stuff. Professional, I wanted to be able to get involved in a psychology board of the state. I wanted to get involved with, I wanted to do 20 service trips to third world countries providing chiropractic care, be able to teach seminars at schools. Basically, you write out literally everything that you want to do. It creates your GPS. For purpose, I identified that big thing I want people to understand is how impactful your nervous system is on your mental well-being. And for that to be the first thought that people have in terms of, crap, I need to get my mind right. What do I need to do? I need to go get my nervous system checked. That's kind of my whole lifelong career goal. And to hopefully be able to get the federal laws changed in terms of what curriculum is in education, so that way people can actually start to learn how to actually take care of their earth suits. Because we leave school not knowing how the heck these things work, and then we get lost. So we need to know how to take care of that. So you make these crazy goals, and then you define when you're going to get them done by, and then you also define your obstacles. That's a big mirror moment, because in obstacles for personal, a lot of that stuff for me was like commitment, discipline issues. Well, I recognized I wasn't flexing my discipline muscle enough, and I had to work on that stuff, and that really helped. So this is an awesome exercise. I highly recommend that you take time doing that, because it actually helps redefine your kind of purpose, what you're going for in life. It's actually a really incredible exercise. So that's moving forward. Now, that was kind of the prioritizing self piece. I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit more here and there. But foundation of health. What's the word within health? Heal. Whoa. What's the word within diet? Ah, crazy. Our bodies actually aren't meant to we're not supposed to like force ourselves into a particular box. We actually need to listen to our systems. Who knows how healing works? Right? We get a scab in we cut our knee open, and eventually becomes a scab. We strain a muscle, eventually becomes healed up, right? How does that work?
Nutrition.
Response.
Nutrition, what'd you say?
Response.
Response. Okay, there's another thing.
Sleep.
Rest.
Sleep. Cool. Rest. Good. So really all these factors play a role. These 5. You guys able to see this in the back well? Yeah? All 5 of these, movement, nourishment, regeneration, outlook, perspective, and function, are the big kind of pillars for how healing works. And it's not just specific or exclusive to a wound on my kneecap or a strain of my muscle. It's all inclusive to every single cell, tissue, muscle, and organ in our entire body. We eat food, and we have to take this nutritious salad that I did not have the opportunity to eat today and get that converted into a red blood cell or a liver cell or a heart cell. All right, we have a new red blood cells every 120 days. We have a new gut lining every 3 days. We have a new human body every 7 years. How does that happen? Because we're continually clearing out old cells and creating new ones. That occurs through food. Now, how that stuff travels and gets to the right places at the right time is through blood flow. So you need to have proper blood flow. How can we get that? Through movement, the foods that we eat, how we're sleeping, even how we think can alter blood flow, and obviously how we function too. That's our rivulet for our transportation boats. Then we have the building blocks that get assembled at, or get dropped off at a location to go get built. And what creates the blueprint? How do we know what to build? How do we know how to build it? A lot of that coordination is created by our brain. And then a lot of that information, blueprints, are conducted through our nerves. And so we need to tap into all of these 5 pretty consistently if we want to start generating momentum. The big thing in terms of health is we create a lot of negative momentum, or we are, I guess, a resultant of negative momentum, whether that's imposed on ourselves or not. Some stuff is out of our control. But if we start tapping into these 5 things consistently, then we start to stop the snowball and get it rolling in the other direction. So for movement, a lot of people like to, for example, they love talking about like weightlifting and stuff, right? Weightlifting is great, but everyone typically under 40 wants to do it to look good, just to look strong in a bathing suit and stuff. But then after 40, muscle is actually hyper important for function. So when I think about exercising, I'm like, how is this applying to my daily life? If versus just doing curls, for example, like a bunch of dudes like to do. Like a real life thing is holding a case of waters at a grocery store and being able to just hold it there. So why don't I practice that? Or maybe having to sit down on this super tiny chair and have control of my body doing it versus falling, right? Having this body control, body awareness. Movement's also super good for, in terms of brain health, and a lot of us are here for better brain stuff. It provides and stimulates circulation, so blood flow. Blood flow for our brain is essential, especially in the morning. I'm a big fan of moving in the morning, first thing, because we wake up kind of groggy. We haven't showered ourselves with water. I actually just read a concept that was drinking water in the morning is like taking an internal shower. It's kind of like taking an internal cleanse for yourself. So I'm just going to give myself a little shower. And then moving around, getting that heart rate going, that is going to stimulate and bring nutrients to my brain that hasn't really gotten it since we slept, or at least hasn't gotten new adequate ones. It's also going to clear out waste products that have accumulated in our brain cells. It's going to stimulate a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which essentially that's like our muscle memory. Like if a velociraptor came flying out of the sky and I ran and hid behind Liam, then the next time that happens, I'm probably going to do it again because I've built in that program. In addition, it creates a lot of serotonin release, dopamine release, so you start feeling more happy. You also start feeling more accomplished because you did something. You did something for yourself. You did something active. Actually, I have a case. She's been dealing with pretty intense migraines for a couple decades, and anytime she used to walk, she would essentially be like bedridden, going to the hospital, throwing up and stuff. And I didn't tell her to do this. I think she just noticed me taking pictures of sunrises because I like to go on morning walks. She comes in and she's like, I started walking. I'm like, the heck? I didn't tell you to do that. We still have a couple weeks to reeval. What are we doing? And she's only at like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I asked her a couple days ago, I was like, how are those going? She's like, I'm up to 30. She's walking pretty much every day. The cool part was, because if you continue to prolong walks, then what is that time taken into? You know, what is it taken out of? Are you starting to rush your morning because you're starting to walk longer because you want to build up endurance? And I just kind of said, well, just pick an exercise and just do 1 rep. At like halfway through your walk, just do 1 rep of something. Do it slow, do it controlled, and just say, hey, I did it. You know? And she just did 1 eccentric push-up this morning. That's it. And she texted me that, and I sent her a GIF emoji of, yeah. So I guess what I'm getting at is that for movement, you don't have to do the same thing every day. You don't have to put yourself in a box. You don't have to say, I'm going to lift 45 minutes every day for 365 days a year. And then you get to the end of January, you're like, I'm over it. Just move. It can be a workout one day, and it could be one squat the next day, or maybe a walk on the next day, but just move your system, do some functional movements. Our like lower back, lumbar spine is meant to do more flexion stuff. Our thoracic spine is meant to do more rotational things. And then our cervical spine is meant to do more lateral flexion stuff. So you can do kind of spinal hygiene. Our spine actually doesn't have vasculature in it. So in order for it to get nutrients, we have to induce motion for our spine, our discs, to stay healthy. It's called imbibition. And so we need actual movement flow to get nutrients coming from our blood vessels into our vertebra and also our vertebral discs. That happens through nourishment. Nourishment, nutrition, foods. Basically, if it's made before the Industrial Revolution, don't eat it. Or no, made after the Industrial Revolution, don't eat it. If it's got more than 5 ingredients on the ingredient list, probably don't eat it. If it has something on the ingredients thing that you can't pronounce, probably don't eat it. Basically what I'm getting at is eat things that come from the earth, eat things that come from Mother Nature. Whether that be meats from proteins, which are essential, whether that be more so if we're thinking about like complex carbohydrate stuff, then that can be coming from vegetables, baked potatoes, sweet potatoes. Nathan and I made sweet potatoes one time, that was great. Zucchini, beans are super good for you. Beans also have a little bit of omega-3, which is an essential fat, and that's more of the anti-inflammatory fat. Omega-6s are inflammatory, and a lot of things that are on shelves that can last for a long time contain those. So that is,
Beans have inflammatories?
and beans, especially kidney beans, contain a lot of the omega-3 called, it's like ALA, alpha linoleic acid. And that can get converted into another omega-3 that is, I think it's DHA or EPA, that our brain is super good for our neurons. So our neurons, they thrive off of fat. Does anyone here hear that fat's a villain? Like oh, I love fat-free stuff, as fat-free's better for me. It's actually kind of the opposite. So our neurons, let me see. So like how this cord is wrapped up. Can you guys see this? This cord's all wrapped up. So it's electricity coursing through some kind of wire, and then it's insulated. And it's insulated to make sure that when that power that's coming out of here is getting to this, it's powering it up, or it's able to transfer this electricity. This rubber part, this insulatory part, is conserving that to make sure it's not leaking out. The same thing is with our nerves. It's called myelin. So like all these little, like say hypothetically, these little string things are nerves. They have like an actual sheath that they travel in, and that sheath is made up of fat. So that sheath, if we are providing it with anti-inflammatory fats, like omega-3s, from like fish or beans, or what's something that has omega-3 in it? Sardines. Sardines, great. So if we're providing it, then salty. So if we're providing it with that, then they're going to have a healthy insulation. If we're providing it with omega-6 stuff and it's hyper-inflammatory, then our cells are actually going to start to kind of die, or they're going to be unhappy, upset. Our system is going to feel anxious, and they're not going to actually thrive as well. Regeneration, this is going in on sleep. So prioritizing sleep is hypercritical. And we've all learned that that we need to sleep 8 hours a day. Oh, why? Do we know why? Do we have a guess why?
Different cycles. You have to go through the cycles.
That's when your body repairs.
Mm.
When you're in the deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So kind of in line with those two, and also cycles as well, is that the cells that are cleaning up our system. A lot of the regeneration repair from the prior day's stressors occurs during sleep while simultaneously preparing for the stresses of our next day. So sleeping is critical. I would say that, like, people love to act sleep for movement. I would say prioritize sleep. And so our janitors, our cleaner up cells in our brain, need about 7 or 8 hours to do that work. Otherwise, we actually start accumulating scar tissue in our